What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Stephen King's It, the most recent adaptation.
And we will be starting off with a spoiler-free review, and then we'll move on to a spoiler review that will also spoil the book, and we'll definitely get into spoilers for the next movie that will be coming out. So it is about a group of children that come across a shape-shifting monster that is taking other children in their town of Derry. And it's just about the struggles that they go through with their everyday life, and then plus what they have to do to take on this monster. So what did you think about the movie?
I actually thought it was great. I thought, really, I didn't have a lot of issues with it. To be honest, I thought overall it was well acted. I thought it was, everybody in it was great. They definitely, perfect casting choices, especially from the book, if you know the characters from the book. I thought that the cinematography was fantastic. Editing, for the most part, was good. I think that I just thought it was all around just a pretty great movie. I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I loved this movie. Absolutely loved it. There was definitely, there's always those little things, you know, but as far as overall, it was just all around. It was great. Each character was a character.
Oh, absolutely. They felt believable. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the town itself was a character almost.
Yeah.
It was just a great movie all around. Writing, acting, and like you said, cinematography, the lighting, so many good things about this.
And there were so many creepy moments in it too. They actually, so there's actually a scene in the trailer that was kind of from the book, and this scene in the trailer actually involved a projector. It was a projector scene, and it resembled a part of the book a little bit, but it wasn't completely reminiscent of it, and they did something a little different with it, and I thought it was actually one of the creepy parts of the movie.
Yeah, that part. There was several scenes where you could tell that they did their own twist.
Right.
It wasn't straight out of the book, but it was same outcome.
Right.
It was different angle, different attack, but same result.
Right, because they even started the movie off a little bit different with what they did in the beginning. It started off a little bit different, and overall, I mean, it was beat for beat like the book. They went to kind of the same places. They did that sort of thing. Just the overall, the story outline was a little bit different. There was a little bit different of a motive there. So, but yeah, I mean,
It stood by itself as a movie. People who have not read the book can enjoy the movie.
right, exactly. Which is why I can't really compare it too much to the book, because as a standalone movie, it's a great movie. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was great.
I honestly feel like any type of horror fan, whether it's you like ghost movies, you like monster movies, you like, just killer movies, just there's something for every type of horror, you know?
Yeah.
It has the creepiness, it has the scariness, it has the intensity and the thrills. It has all of it. It has the slow build, it has the quick. It has
Yeah, and
everything.
I'm usually not a huge fan of jump scares at all. And this movie, while it did have them, but I feel it actually kind of, whenever something like a jump scare would happen, it would continue afterwards, and it would stay creepy afterwards. It's not like a jump scare then it would cut to the next day and it'd be daytime.
Every jump scare seemed fitting.
Yeah.
It wasn't just now it's over.
No, not there for nothing. I think that, that's what a lot of horror movies, at least nowadays, do wrong, as they do a lot of like false jump scares. Cat jumps out of you know what I mean. I think this movie did the jump scares right, for sure.
For sure. So amongst the many, many positive things about this movie, as every movie, it had its faults. There was a couple different things that we both had. What were one of the things that you had that you weren't the biggest fan of?
I feel like, the movie, I think it could have been, with its rated R rating, I felt it could have been a little bit darker, actually. It could have taken advantage of the R rating. I think there is some scenes in it that are definitely rated R. Language, for sure. But I think it was definitely a rated R movie in those aspects, but I also think taking advantage of the rated R rating could have served it a little better.
A little bit darker.
Yeah. I thought it was a dark movie. but I felt it could have benefited maybe a little bit more from having a darker
Yeah.
tone. What issues did you have with it?
There was a couple things. The one, so it's a common known fact that it is a shape-shifting monster, and one of the things that he takes form of, not gonna go into spoilers, don't worry about that. I just wasn't feeling it. It was all right. No like major issues with it. It didn't really feel too fitting to me.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like a thing that it would do. Wasn't necessarily terrible. That
Just
was
one of the kids'
definitely
fears
the
you
lowest part.
Yeah, one of the kids' fears in the movie you weren't too fond of.
Wasn't the biggest thing.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I think also, I didn't, I did love the characters. I loved them a lot, actually. I thought everybody was great. But I felt like it didn't, by the end of the movie, I didn't feel as, like, pulled in by the characters emotionally. Like, say, like, Stand By Me. You know, by the end of that movie, you're on board with it. You feel for the characters and everything. While I did feel for the characters, I just didn't feel as emotionally invested as I'd hoped that I did.
Yeah.
Or that I would. So.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point because even though there was that feeling of you feel like you could have been more invested, they still had such strong characters.
Exactly.
However, one of my other issues was one of those characters I feel like was sidelined a little bit too much.
Yeah, definitely.
I just thought that a couple of this character's personal scenes could have been longer, could have just used just a little bit more.
I feel like with a movie with as many like lead characters as it has, I feel like it's a little bit hard, especially with a 2 hour 15-minute runtime. I think that's what it is. With that long of a runtime, or
for sure.
I guess that short of a runtime, it to try and work with its characters and give them all the story that they deserve, I feel like it's a little bit tough.
That's one reason why I feel like I can't be too mad because I understand.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. I can't hang on it too much. I think also there was one particular scene that is in the trailer. I think it does happen one other time too, but there was one particular scene that's in the trailer. It's when Pennywise is like running at the camera. The camera's like centered in on him.
Yes.
And it's just the way he just ran at the camera, and it was like the camera was centered in on him, and it stuck with him as he was running forward. Yeah, the motion tracking thing. Yeah. I think it just didn't feel.
It felt a little cheesy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Almost a little cheap in a way, but I feel like I would have much rather had the camera set somewhere else while it was happening.
Yeah.
But really, again, they're just nitpicks. I think that overall, overall, I mean, I don't have much of an issue with the movie. I think it serves as a fine horror movie for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would recommend. It's kind of hard, but I would recommend seeing the movie without seeing trailers. That's probably really hard.
Oh, yeah.
But I would definitely, if you get the chance to not watch a trailer, I would definitely not watch a trailer.
I feel like I'd recommend that for like every movie.
To an extent, yeah. I think this movie though would benefit from not seeing the trailer. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The only other problem that I had was towards the end, just one of the last lines from it. I just felt like there should have been a whole lot more. When it was delivered, it just felt a little empty. I just felt like he should have said something a little bit.
Yeah, or maybe expanded the sentence a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the one thing that he said.
It was just a very...
Definitely get that.
It almost felt like kind of a repeat of things that were already said.
Right.
So, just a little empty with that.
Right. So exactly. So all that being said, what would you rate the movie? What would you give it?
What would I rate the movie? I would give it 9 Hiya Georgies out of 10.
Okay. I'm going to say I think I'm going to give it a solid 9.5, but that's going to not be Hiya Georgies. That's just going to be a 9.5.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Mainly because I don't want to do the voice. So I'm not good at it. So, yeah. All right, so we've given our spoiler-free review and given you guys our ratings. Now would be a good time to exit the video. If you have not seen the movie, If you have seen it, you can stick around. We are going to be talking about spoilers now, and it could potentially ruin parts of the parts of the book, I guess. But also, we're going to be talking about spoilers in the movie now. So
Yeah. Lots of spoilers in the movie and lots of spoilers in the book, so be aware of that. So this will contain spoilers for the potential sequel.
Right.
So.
So let's start from the beginning. I think first off, I think it worked for the movie, but the whole scene where when Pennywise actually takes Georgie in the very beginning of the movie,
Yes.
I think instead of him pulling him in, I think it could have it worked well in the movie, but I think that Georgie, I think they should have just had him die there, kind of
Yes.
like what they did with the book. Although I feel like it did serve the movie a lot better doing it the way they did. But I think, I don't know. What did you
I
think of
can
that?
understand why they had Pennywise actually take him into the storm drain with him, just to help speed along the fact of Bill going into the Barrens and looking for Georgie. But then again, it did give it a little bit different of a tone because in the book, Georgie just dies right there,
Yeah.
bleeds out in a neighbor's arms, and
And then doesn't the neighbor go up and I'm trying to remember. Does the neighbor come over and like pick him up and then bring him over to the house, and like
Yeah.
the mom has this whole freak out
yeah,
moment.
but
Which
he just
right there
dies right
could have
there.
added the whole darker element, which is kind of what I had mentioned.
they
earlier.
have a funeral for him and everything. It is known that Georgie is dead.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie, they are like, what happened to Georgie?
You're right.
They're still the what happened to Georgie. They don't understand why he's dead, but they know he's dead. But now they don't even know what happened. He just disappeared. They know that the neighbor saw him by the storm drain, so they assume that he flew into the storm drain.
Yeah. Which adds that sense of like, I guess, trying to add that sense of mystery to the movie, which
Yeah.
does work for the movie. Definitely.
Yeah, it works. It does give Bill just a little bit of a different tone because
Right,
he's
because he's a
more
different
so.
motive.
Yeah, the motive is a little more what happened to my brother, whereas in the book the motive is a little more you killed my brother.
Right.
I'm going to kill you.
Now it's a revenge thing.
Yes.
As soon as he
So-
finds Pennywise, basically.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it does. It definitely serves the movie just fine the way it is. I mean, there's that part of me that wished that it would have just happened kind of the way it did in the book, but that's just
I mean, I do feel like just the simple fact that Pennywise just ripped off his arm in the book rather than biting it off. I don't know. To me, that seems a lot more brutal than biting it off.
a little more savage.
Yeah. So that was definitely a lot darker in the book.
Yeah. I mean, it did, not to say it shied away from the blood and gore that was in that scene, because it definitely didn't. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens on screen.
yeah.
So I think that it just could have maybe, the R rating, I guess, overall in the movie, could have, I think it could have gone a little bit
Could've
darker,
been
like we
a
said, a
little
little
harder,
bit,
yeah.
a little bit earlier. I think it could have gone a little harder, like the book
Yeah,
did.
for sure.
But I mean, the way it starts really sets the tone of
It does.
the rest of the movie for sure. Like when you're watching it, you know what you're watching.
You're getting
as soon
right
as
into it.
as soon as the scene ends, you know exactly what you're watching.
sure.
So next in the movie would be the kids, right? When the kids show up.
We could show up. Yeah, they're in the school, right?
Right.
That's the next scene.
So I think they were all perfect. Like they were all great.
Casting was spot on.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the strongest things as far as the adaptation goes. The characters were the characters. They were just the dialogue, everything.
Who was your favorite in the book? As far
In the
as-
book, when I was reading the book, my favorite was actually Ben, just because I was a little fat kid, so I got them feels.
a little relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just I don't know. I just enjoyed Ben.
Oh yeah, no, he was great. He had that. A matter of fact, I think in the book too, it starts out following him just straight up. Like it doesn't follow the other characters. I don't think.
Yeah,
because he comes across him. He does come across the other characters in the same way though. When they're down in the, they're down next to in the creek,
Yes.
or they're down by the river. He does come across him in the same way while he's being chased, but he it is following him for a while in the book, but I do think that I liked Richie in the book. I think he was probably my favorite. I think
Richie was great.
and he I can't even remember his name from Stranger Things. The kid from Stranger Things. He does play Richie.
the actor.
He was like fantastic. Like he was spot on to
Kid's a good actor.
to like to how I would have pictured it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is basically how we all acted as kids growing up when we didn't have the parents around.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you not, but I think he was great. I think Ben was good too. I actually liked him a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I did think that he seemed just a little tiny bit younger than he was in the book.
Richie or Ben?
Ben.
Um,
Just felt like he was just a little bit more mature in the book.
yeah.
Not the biggest thing. It's just like 5%. Like it's not.
Yeah,
not too much.
I think I can't even really like picture him in the book anymore. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I read the book over the course of like 5 days, so it's like it's all like a blur in some way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, definitely feel that. I think I don't know. It's a toss up between Eddie and Richie for me as far as the movie. In the book, I wasn't like a huge I was a fan of all of them, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
But like I'd say that the biggest for me was Richie.
Yeah.
In the movie, I think Eddie was hilarious. Like he had some of like the funniest lines, and his facial expressions were awesome.
And plus, just the relationship between Eddie and Richie was great.
Was great. Yeah, definitely.
It was fantastic.
I think. What did you think of Henry Bowers and the casting for him, and just
Henry Bowers, I thought the casting was pretty spot on. If anything, with that whole group, I really wish they went into Patrick Hochstetter's character a little bit.
Yeah, I think.
His character is very out there and
to say the least.
very messed up. Probably one of the more messed up parts of the book. I do understand that why they didn't go into his character.
Right.
Just he wasn't part of the main plot. So.
Right, and the plot needed to move along, which is why they kind of switched up the beginning to have that mystery. To move the plot along, they definitely needed to take some things out, take some liberties.
For sure.
And also, what I thought was really cool too is the director did. He kind of paid homage to a lot of different things from the novel that he couldn't put into the movie.
Sure.
We'll get to that a little bit later, I guess, because that's not till a little bit later. But I think,
as far as the casting for Patrick, perfect.
yeah, he was an asshole.
Yeah, he was an asshole. You could tell that there was something off about him. Just the way the actor was moving.
Even just him.
Looked
just
on
him
his
in
face.
general. Yeah, not even just like what he said or anything. It was him in general. They picked a really like kind of off actor to play him, but it was perfect.
Yeah,
I think we'll get to it a little bit later, but Henry Bowers' story arc, I'm hoping they didn't
change that.
Didn't close that off a little bit in the movie as opposed to the book, because it is a very important, does play an important role later on in the book.
It does.
I think, the Patrick thing, what they did to him just right off the bat, that just killed him out, was like, I mean, it's fine for the movie again. It's fine.
I do at least wish that he died the same way.
Yeah, that could have been creative and cool, I think.
Yeah, they could have worked it out. I feel like that would have been a problem to make him die the same way.
You just couldn't have like,
of course, the details would have been different.
Yeah, definitely.
But as far as the death itself,
could have been cool. But do you think it would have made sense though? I don't know if it would have made sense for the.
I think they could have made it make sense.
Yeah.
With the circumstance that they created for the movie and whatnot, it probably wouldn't fit. But I feel like they could have made it fit.
Yeah.
It's a lot more out there, and it's.
Yeah, I think people would have been a little uncomfortable if they did keep his story in it.
That's true.
People would have. I think there's a lot of stuff that people would have felt uncomfortable with if they did put it into the movie. Sure. Another thing too, though, when Beverly was the perfect casting too.
Ooh, yeah.
and I don't remember if she was even like bullied in the book or anything. Like I don't think she was.
I don't recall any girl bullies, but Henry was literally on everyone's case in the book, and there was interactions with her and Henry as well. Nothing too big, but there were small things.
Yeah, because there was an interaction in the movie where that girl was a bitch.
Oh yeah.
And even later in the movie too. I think I thought she was great too. Like I can't really say that she's exactly what I pictured because when I was reading the book, I was picturing her from the movie because I'd already seen the trailers. So I can't really say I pictured my own interpretation of her.
Yeah.
But I'd say like the way that she is described in the book, she's pretty close to.
Yeah, I read it before I even saw her in the trailer or anything. So yeah, like spot on. I don't recall Beverly being quite so flirty with like Ben, but I do feel like it was fitting. And that
it fit it. It was definitely for the movie. It fit it for sure.
Yeah.
I think, but she was pretty flirtatious. That's not how she was in the book. Like,
yeah.
I mean, she kind of had her moments, but she was. I think she was more on. I feel like in the movie too, there was a lot of like scenes where they could have like had them because I know after. I guess we can skip just for a second to the end of the movie when they're all like, when they have defeated Pennywise or whatever, and they're, I think it's that scene, and she hugs Bill, and then I was like expecting her to go and like hug everybody because that's the whole point of that's basically at its core it's the love that the group has for each other. That is the core of the story. It isn't just a horror movie about a clown killing people. It's not or whatever. Yeah. I think. I kind of wish that they would have kind of done little things like that to make you...
That's true.
Rather than it being centered on one person, like creating a love story between her and Bill. I think that they could have gone a little more... Taken a couple different routes with that.
One thing with like the movie, it seemed like that her mom wasn't in the picture at all. Like, yes, you never saw her... But it seemed like her dad was just supposed to be just a single dad.
Right. I don't remember her mom. I don't recall her mom in the book though.
Her mom was in the book. She was the one that she pointed out the.
Oh right, because she was kind of keeping the whole abusive relationship she had. She was keeping that as like a secret. Cause I do actually remember that scene where the mom asks her if she's if he's touching her. She says no. I do actually remember that.
So there's. Almost
also
every interaction with her and her dad, there is a small form of interaction with her mother as well.
Right. And I think, I feel like with the R rating too, they could have, this doesn't sound terrible, but I feel like they could have totally like taken the risk and had him actually like hit her in the movie. Cause I don't think he ever did.
Yeah. He just grabbed her, pushed her.
He grabbed her.
Yeah.
But like there was this whole scene that was in the book.
Shit out.
Yeah, like she was. No, it's and like it sounds awful to say that you wish that was in the movie. Yeah. But taking advantage of the R rating in that case, we talked about a little bit before, a little darker. Yeah. They could have taken advantage.
I do think that because of them not him getting physical with her, that it more so just made him seem like he was all rapey towards his daughter versus just being abusive, where he was just abusive, and then there was still the question of like, are you getting a little too sexual?
Right, which I don't even think
it was still primarily just physical abuse.
Right, and I don't even remember anything like that in the book of him being like sexually like in any way like towards her at all, like or you know what I mean? Like it was like a little bit. Like you maybe think it was a little unhealthy relationship, but it wasn't like as taken to the next level as it was in the movie. It was very much like that.
It was a very low tone,
which I guess in a way is kind of be another form of abuse, I guess.
Yeah, so it worked out. Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily.
It does again. It fits for the movie.
They did that.
Also, the speaking of the whole pedophile type thing, the clerk at the store, he wasn't like that in the book.
I got that vibe when he told Eddie about the placebo and all that stuff.
I didn't get the pedophile vibe. I just got very weirded out vibe because everybody in the town, like all the adults are weird.
Oh, yeah.
All the adults are weird. So I just figured maybe he was just
Yeah.
weird. He was off. You know.
There was just a couple things that he said where I was just like, is this gonna take a turn? Like while I was reading it. So I thought that
But him
the whole pedophile thing
Yeah,
in the
there-
movie that was very
Yeah, there was a scene in the book where he pulled Eddie into the back. He was like, "Come with me," and he pulled him into the back and actually was telling him that the medication he was taking was fake.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it wasn't legit. And I think what does he say in the movie when he's talking about his the placebos when he goes up to his mom? What does he call it?
Gazebo.
Gazebo. So funny. No, I think
that was a nice touch because
yeah.
he didn't say that in the
Yeah,
book. I don't think.
yeah. I think, and that's the thing too is he did pay a lot of homage to certain things that Stephen King did. You know, if he wasn't able to put a scene into the movie because it was going to take too much time, he paid homage to it in some way. Like a little bit later in the movie when they were on Neibolt Street and they were at the house, it was, I believe, that it wasn't the last time they went in there when they went in there to actually go into the sewer. It was the second time they were in there. I believe it was the second time. Because they went in there 3 times.
Yes.
Oh no, it was just the third time it showed it in the movie because Eddie went there one time, and then the second time was when they all went there. That's what it was. Yeah. So the second time, when there was a scene where Pennywise was walking towards the whole group, and his glove started to rip, and like a claw was coming through, obviously hinting at the werewolf in the book. They didn't want to, that would have taken a while to sit there and just like turn him into a werewolf and have that entire fight happen. I think, paying homage to it a little bit like that was really cool. Because he was kind of, putting his own little spin on the movie, but while also like, paying homage to Stephen King. That was cool.
Yeah, that was one thing that like because they completely changed that as far as the werewolf stuff, because in the movie Richie is afraid of clowns, whereas in the book he's afraid of werewolves because of them always going to the movies to watch the werewolf movies and those monster movies, and that wasn't even in the movie. And so that was something that was like, but wasn't the biggest deal.
Yeah,
that
it's not a
they
big deal.
changed
Yeah,
it.
no, and it sounds like we're totally shitting on the movie. Like whenever we're like, it's cool, it was in the book, but it wasn't in the movie, so it's like, no, it definitely, the movie does a great job of being its own standalone thing for sure. Yeah. It's definitely, I think, I loved the homage he paid throughout the entire movie. I think even toward the end, they're all having they're all beating the shit out of Pennywise just all together.
Yeah.
And there's one few seconds where he turns into like a mummy type thing, and he grabs Ben and starts trying to pull him in, and Ben sees him and screaming. Now we never really saw any of Ben's fears at all in the movie. It was kind of just like he was one of the characters that you didn't really see a fear of. You saw a scary scene with him, but you never saw like any of his fears.
Yeah.
But in the book there was a scene where I think wasn't it like the winter time, or he was having some sort of what he thought was a dream, but it was out, and it was and he was walking home, and he was walking along the bridge, and he looked over, and and Pennywise was standing there wrapped in the mummy tape or whatever. I think I wonder, I was thinking about it last night. I feel like, what if that was like a cut scene? Like, what if maybe, do you think they just paid homage to it at the end of the movie? Or do you think that was actually legitimately, they were going to do a scene where he encountered a mummy, but they just kind of cut it from the movie? What do you think?
It's very possible, because his scene in the library was, I feel like you could have had that and the mummy scene, and it still would have fit.
Right.
So I feel like they might have actually filmed it and just cut it out.
Yeah, which kind of makes me excited for the Blu-ray. If they bring out the deleted scenes and stuff, I kind of would see if there's anything cool in there. I feel like we can kind of backtrack to more toward the beginning of the movie where we were.
As far as homages to little things, back to Patrick Hockstetter, when he died, he saw the dead kids. Whereas in the book,
it was
that was what Stan
saw when he was in the was it the standpipe, right?
Yeah,
he was in the standpipe, and he saw the dead kids.
And then he had his bird book,
and he was reading off the birds in it. Yeah, yep.
to distract himself, and
Yep.
then they went away.
Which was actually a pretty cool scene. I like that.
Yeah,
scene a lot.
so I am kind of sad that that wasn't in the movie, and especially sad because that is what my point was in the non-spoiler part with the particular fear of what one of the characters had was Stan's, the woman, the painting. I was not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Because
it was
weird.
Yeah, it was like a change for almost no reason. Mm-hmm. Like, but I don't remember Stan having the backstory of him being. We knew he was a Jewish kid, but we didn't know like he didn't have any scenes like that where he was actually there.
Stan, I felt like was more of a main character in this than he
which was nice. It kind of gave
it was all right, but then I
justice.
feel like he kind of swapped with Mike, and that was my other point. Stan and Mike were almost switched because Stan was almost a sideline character in the book. Mm-hmm. Not completely, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
In the same sense that Mike was a sideline character in the movie, and that was my other thing in the non-spoiler. It was Mike was the sideline character. I just felt like his scenes could have been a whole lot more. I felt like they should have had Mike's bird scene
right
that was in the book, because that was a great scene.
Right. No,
and
one of the best parts of the book, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And then they had Stan's painting with the woman scene.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the replacement,
In
kind
a sense,
of,
yeah.
because with how much time they dealt with the painting.
That could have been dealt with the.
They should have swapped it, done the bird, and the small amount of time that they had for Mike with the burning and whatnot, they could have taken that time and had that for Stan.
Which I did actually think that was cool for the movie. I think actually them doing that to his parents and having them be dead was definitely, it was a change from the book, but it was definitely, it gave the movie that chance to not have to completely focus on that entire part of the story, which was fine. I feel like, while I do think the bird scene should have been in there, I think if they put the bird scene in there, I feel like it would have also been bummed that his dad wasn't around to tell him the entire story about how he saw the bird as well.
That's true.
And that added that, like, that heaviness to that part of the book, I remember.
But I do really want to see, like, with his dad's interaction with the bird, with the club that was burned down.
Right,
And
yep.
That was, like...
That was the black spot, right?
Yeah, that was so good that... I hope that maybe in the sequel they'll somehow touch on it. Well, I honestly doubt it, but I hope they do.
I don't know, because I was hearing that they might be diving into Pennywise's origin story, which, probably not what you're thinking, but I feel like, it's just some sort of backstory, which is similar to what they had in the book. I feel like hinting at the Ironworks and the Black Spot and all that stuff, I think that they hinted at that in the first movie. I feel like they may touch up on it in the second movie, but I think there is, what are they called, interludes in the book. It's basically, there's these sections of the book where Mike is writing, and he's like writing in like a journal.
That's right.
And he's like interviewing people and talking to people about experiences that they've had or that they've heard about. And each one, like the Ironworks is one that he talked to somebody about, and the Black Spot,
the Bradley gang,
the Bradley gang, and all that. And all that's kind of hinted in the movie a little bit, but we don't get a lot of it. And I'm hoping that maybe in the second movie, when we see Mike as an adult, and maybe I'm hoping we see maybe a few scenes where like Mike is writing, or maybe just one scene where Mike is writing, and we get like
some flashbacks.
Some flashbacks of like that happening, so then you can kind of see that Pennywise has been around for an extremely long time.
Each one of those stories were so good.
Some of the best parts of the
Bradley gang, the Black Spot, just all of it.
Because they were interesting. Just those themselves made you feel like that Derry was like its own character.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like they definitely should definitely be in the second movie, I think.
As far as making Derry feel like its own character, where I do give props to the movie was the fact of each time the TV was on, it was always the same show with the weird lady talking.
Yeah.
And there was points that, like, if you're not paying attention, you just hear her saying some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh yeah, because like as
what
like,
is going on?
Yeah, like as the movie's going on, like everybody will be watching like the same thing. If there's a kid in a house with a parent, the parent is watching the show for some reason.
Yeah.
And so it's like and it's always the same show. There's just a bunch of kids and there's this lady. And I think the first time it's not really anything big. It's just like a normal show. Then the second time, I believe, is when Beverly is in her own house and her dad is like
really
asleep
weird
on the couch.
stuff, and that's kind of when you first clue in.
Yeah, because it's talking about like the sewer, and you're
what
kind of
did
like,
you just
you're kind
say?
of like, what? Yeah.
The sewer's a fun place to play with your friends.
Yeah, something like that. And then and I think the third time was when Henry Bowers was in his house doing his deed.
Yeah.
The killing of his
finishing
father.
his off. And his father wasn't a cop in the book.
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
Yeah, no, he was.
There was the whole interaction between his father and the cop, though, because his dad kept harassing Mike's family.
Yeah.
And his dad wasn't a cop.
I could have sworn that his dad was a like one of the cops that everybody knew or something like that. I could have sworn.
The sheriff was telling him to like stop. He's just more like a hick.
Okay.
So that's what I recall.
Oh, then I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. I guess I feel like I do remember him harassing Mike's family.
Yeah.
Though. But yeah. So then, kills his dad, and then there's on the TV screen. If you listen to watched it twice. If you listen, as he's walking in. You listen to it. It's kind of a little bit weird. It's definitely not the same show that like it probably started out as. Mm-hmm. They're like referencing. I think they're like, "Oh, what was your favorite part of the show?" And then all the kids are like, the clown, or whatever. And then he kills his dad. And then on the TV screen, she's like, kill them all. And then and then they all start singing and stuff.
Comes out.
Yeah, no, I just loved how that little touch, because that wasn't even in the book.
That wasn't in the book at all.
Which kind of made me happy. It did take its liberties, but it also tried to fill in certain things to kind of give you something new.
I do like it when adaptations and movies add something that the book didn't have that are really good. And that was one of the things that I feel like were like golden.
Yeah, no, and I think that also a little thing in the background, and I don't even know if it was something it definitely was intended. There's no way it wasn't intended.
Yeah.
But there was this part, it was when Ben is in he's in the library and he's looking, and the lady comes up and starts talking to him and says, "Oh, aren't you, it's summertime, aren't you supposed to be outside playing or whatever?" He's like, "Oh, I like the library." And then they kind of have their little exchange, and then she walks away. Well, and then he opens up the book, and it's about the history of Derry and stuff, and he's like, and he's looking through it and the ironworks and all
back
that.
And forth
so
with the camera angles.
Yeah, the camera angle goes kind of in front of him, but over his shoulder, and you see behind him there's like this lady that's like in the background.
Some random old lady.
And she has this huge smile on her face and looking directly at his back.
And she just starts getting closer.
And
closer.
Yeah, and so the camera flips and then jumps back, and she's
so
a little bit closer. It's super weird. There's no way that was in there for me. Yeah, and then the last time, after it zooms in and he sees the kid's head up in the tree, the camera flashes back and she's just back to normal, just looking at the books in the bookcase. Like, there's no way that was just a coincidence. That had to have been put in.
The fact that was just so small and nothing really came out of it.
Right.
That those little
things, I feel like those are definitely
so
on purpose. I'm sure he was just like, let's give him something that they
And that's another thing that adds to the town being a character itself. That it's just all those little small
because in the book too, all of the parents were so completely oblivious to everything. Other than Eddie's mom in the movie, which was also in the book, I feel like everybody being oblivious, they captured that perfectly. I feel like them just not even caring about the missing kids, not even, they captured that in the movie pretty well. I think that because that's exactly what they did in the book. They were just they just had no clue what was going on.
And Eddie's mom, I do think that casting for that as well was pretty good. She was definitely portrayed like as I envisioned her.
Yeah, exactly. Just everybody was off. Everybody was off in some way. So what I kind of touched up on a little bit when I said in the non-spoiler review, when I was talking about the thing that was in the trailer with the projector screen, I absolutely thought that was one of the scariest parts of the entire, well, maybe not scariest, but creepiest parts of the whole movie. I think that just him coming out like visually of the screen, like him coming out with a big smile on his face, that was like, I don't know, that terrified me, gave me chills. Because it was taking, in the book and actually in the original adaptation from 1990, they did same thing as the book. They actually had when they were looking through the scrapbook after he sees Georgie's picture bleeding and stuff like that. He brings it to. I think in the book it wasn't just him and Richie that were looking through it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and then the picture started moving.
The first time it was just him, and I think it was bleeding, so he threw it, and
it flipped.
and then he went and showed Richie.
But Georgie's picture wasn't in there, but it was filled with a bunch of other stuff.
And once he was with Richie, that is the now projector scene.
Yeah, and so I think the original kind of kept that scene, but I do actually really like the way they did this version of it, because taking just the scrapbook moving and him kind of coming through the picture a little bit, coming out of it, trying to grab one of them or whatever was creepy in the book. Oh, yeah. But I think this actually took it to the next level, which pretty much makes it one of my favorite parts of the movie, because just, I don't know, him coming out of the screen and stuff was just terrifying. It was it took that to the next level.
Yeah. As far as that goes, the scene when Bill goes down to the basement and has that interaction with Georgie in the movie, right. That is another thing where they totally just swapped it from, it was the scrapbook. It was when he saw, he was just feeling sad or whatever, and was looking in Georgie's room, looking through the scrapbook in the book. And then, Georgie was like bleeding or whatever. Mm-hmm. But so then in the movie, he actually sees Georgie, goes down to the basement, goes to the basement. I think that
was kind of a cool way
probably of doing it. Might have been a little bit better than what the book did with the scrapbook. That scene I absolutely love, just because of the fact that Georgie's talking, and as it's like
his face starts to change.
It's very apparent that like something's off.
Something is not.
His face starts to change. His face starts to like melt, and then Pennywise comes out of the water,
and
he's like a puppet.
Yeah, Georgie's talking, and then like his voice slowly turns into Pennywise's voice, and as he comes out of the water, it is him talking.
When he just like slams Georgie down and he disappears,
it just gives it that whole.
That was like so good. Yeah. I got chills.
I don't know, something just about the slam.
How cool it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he slammed him down. They went running at him, and then the next point where I got like that was done so good was when he's just on the steps, Bill runs away, and he's just
and his eyes
and he just slither back, and his eyes roll back, and he's just that right there. That was a very good indication of what is it.
Yeah,
and that was
I think
portrayed so
great job to Bill Skarsgård for making Pennywise his own, and actually he was extremely close to the book, even down to the sewer scene. When his eyes are yellow as he shows up and says, "Hi, Georgie," that whole thing. Yeah. And then his eyes turn blue when he comes into frame.
It's actually just the opposite.
Is it the opposite?
Yeah.
Okay. So
when he goes into like attack mode, they turn yellow.
Right, yeah. So which is exactly how it's described in the book, which is awesome. I think just those little touches make it what it is. I think also I love the way that like in his circus like movement. Like I don't know if you kind of talked about it briefly, but there was the scene. It was when they were in the house on Nebel, and they were. It was right after Beverly stabs him with the pole, and his face is all messed up. He does this little like bow, and then kind of like comes out like as if he's like on a stage, I loved how it was just like it was almost like he was an act. It was like he was just, and then when he's in the fridge and he comes out of the fridge and contorts himself out, and just even like down to the sound,
like he's dancing
towards him. Yeah, and I think everything he did was very like circus like and very much and even down to like the sound effects when like his arms would extend like toward the end when he's coming out of Georgie's body, and the sound effects it's making when it's like it just felt very like almost fun, but it's obviously not. But and then the dancing. Which was actually the one time where I really liked where it centered on him, was that scene where he was dancing at the Pennywise dancing clown thing where he was, talking about. It was toward the end. Yeah. So I like that. That was like the one time where I actually really appreciated that editing choice because it fit that. It gave it that fun kind of like goofy vibe, but it was like it was creepy because it kept kind of closing in on him. I thought that was cool. All right, hang on. So I'm trying to remember to make sure that
I think.
I'm just about like out of stuff on my thing. I also caught something when I was thinking about it yesterday. There's actually something. It's in the original, or it was it was in the original. It was the scene where trying to think. Oh, it was when Tim Curry was in the sink, and he actually. So, I'll just leave it. Okay. So another thing too, I actually liked the little bit of homage to Tim Curry, which I thought was great. I think it might be one of the only scenes that really paid homage to him. I know in the trailer there was you could look in the background in the scene with the when all the clowns are set up. And you can look in the background and see Pennywise set up there. I thought from Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Also, I think there was a scene in the original where Tim Curry's. It's the scene where he's in the sink and he's talking to Beverly and he's like, "You'll die if you try and come down here." And then he keeps saying, "You'll die if you try. You'll die if you try."
Yeah.
And the new movie, and I noticed it the second time I watched it, mainly because I had rewatched the original.
Yeah.
When it's the scene where Bill walks into Beverly's house and realizes that she's gone. He looks up and sees, "You'll die if you try."
Yeah.
Thought that was really cool because I don't remember that in the book at all.
Yeah, I don't remember
that. So I think that was just a little bit of homage to Tim Curry. I think that was pretty cool.
That was cool. That was one thing that I'm not really too sure how to feel about it. It worked, so it's like whatever. But just as far as having Pennywise take Beverly in the movie, like
right,
take him, so then
her being like a damsel in distress.
Yeah, and so and that's another thing where they kind of changed the motivation a little bit.
Yeah.
They were going down to save Beverly, whereas in the book they're going there to kill Pennywise
because he killed Georgie.
Yeah, like it's more about revenge in the book. Like they want to kill Pennywise, whereas they're just trying to save Beverly now, and that's why they all come together.
Right.
He never takes her in the book. So.
No, I mean, it added a little bit more of like a plot device in a way, but again, it's one of those things. Works for the movie, I guess.
Yeah,
so
it worked for the movie. It helped things flow.
Yeah.
So I do think that's why they did it. It's just one of those kind of more big differences that not really sure.
I liked the literal floating. That was actually
yeah.
kind of cool. That was a nice little touch. Like when he keeps saying in the book and everything, like, "You'll float down here, you'll float down here."
Yeah.
And you actually, it's literal. Like I thought that was kind of cool. That was a nice little touch.
Cool,
from the
yeah.
movie.
I wasn't sure how to feel about all the different kids, the missing kids floating up. That was a little odd. I felt like
I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, I mean, were the kids dead floating up there, or were they still alive? Well, because the little add-on at the end where they're like, "Oh, they're floating down now."
Yeah,
like,
I think I don't know, like it threw me off because the second time I watched it, I was really into it. I was into it more because I wasn't really subliminally doing the comparisons between the book and the movie. There is blood dripping down, and that is what wakes Beverly up when she's.
I suppose I didn't think about that.
So, and I didn't think about it either until when I was watching it again.
Yeah.
I think that kind of confirms it, but then they do say, "Oh, they're coming down now." So I don't know if that was just.
So they're just like, "Oh, yay, they're coming down." They get down, they're like, they're
dead.
They're dead
still. Yeah. No, I think another thing too. One of the things I want to talk about before I forget. I think Henry Bowers. So
changed it a little bit.
They did. This is where we're probably gonna spoil some of the later parts of the book.
Yeah. Later parts of the book
that are gonna be in part 2.
Definitely be in part 2.
So
if you care about that, might want to click away.
Yeah. So I think there's Henry Bowers dies. Okay, dies. I hope he dies. And it was just a thing that like. I mean, he hit his head on the side.
It looked like he was. I don't know how he'd be alive, but it's possible that
I hope he wasn't just taken out like that because he is a
dead.
huge vital character in the
part where they're adults.
In the part where they're adults and they all come back to Derry, he is a vital character because he decides he's going to leave wherever he is and go.
It's that almost same interaction that he had with him killing his dad again later, where Pennywise is just manipulating him again as an adult.
And even down to like the way he kind of walked too when he was walking down the driveway, it seemed like he was kind of pulling him a little bit. You know, it's kind of nice little
That's
touch.
true, yeah.
I know he
nice
just
touch.
wasn't walking weird for the hell of it. I'm pretty sure that was the point.
Yeah.
He was under control of Pennywise, which, I think I'm hoping that he wasn't just killed off and that was it.
Yeah, if he's dead, then I really don't know what they're going to do. I doubt he's dead. That might be where they'll use some flashbacks and show. I hope that they have some flashbacks and show what happened to Henry, how he survived, and then plus what happened to Belch and Victor, because they were with him and then he got the knife and you never see them again in the movie. Whereas in the book, instead of him being pushed down the well, there's not even a well in the book, and they're just going through the sewers chasing after the group, and it's Henry, Belch, and Victor.
Yeah.
And then they just get lost.
They get lost,
and then that's kind of the last you hear of them. And so it's just like, where's Belch and Victor?
Yeah, exactly. Is that just kind of just whatever?
Did Henry kill them? Or
I don't know, because he got in the book he got crazier. In the movie he also got crazier as the movie went on. I think I'm hoping he's in the second movie. I'm hoping he is alive, and
he's too important to change. So if they change that,
he's like I said he's a huge part of that part of the book. I mean, the more I think about it, he's not really like, he is a vital part, but he's not like a huge part of the book. Like, he does show up, and the only confrontation he has with anybody from the group is Mike.
Mike and Eddie.
When does he confront Eddie?
I'm about to say a really big spoiler.
Eddie's
the one who kills
Henry.
Henry.
Yes. Okay. No, I was trying to think. I was like, yes. No. It is when they're... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Because he messes Mike up. They both mess
Yep,
each other
yep,
up.
yep.
Then he goes to kill Eddie, and then
I, for some reason, was totally blanking out that part of the book. I could only think of the... Yeah.
Maybe if they did change it, it wouldn't be like, oh, that changes the story completely. It wouldn't necessarily change the story completely, and it's not necessarily the most vital, but I really enjoyed that part.
No, I really enjoyed it,
That
too.
was one of my favorite parts.
It's a great part of the book, I think.
The interaction between Pennywise and Henry is so interesting.
Like, he's a
especially
pawn.
when they're
He's like a
adults.
pawn.
Yeah.
He's just a pawn to him. It was almost like he was, instead of feeding off the kids, he was like, well, let me just take control of him and use him as my, it did add a whole new element. I was actually, an article came out, and I was reading about it earlier. It was the director, who's actually, I'm pretty sure, confirmed now to be doing the next movie, which I think is awesome. He came out and was talking about stuff about the second movie. He's basically saying that if they tell the story of the adults, which they obviously are going to, they're going to be doing flashbacks of the kids, which means potentially they're going to be, bringing back the other actors from this movie, which I think is cool because he says something in here. He said it's most important for them to have the flashbacks because it really does, it connects both movies together. Because I feel like also if they did just make the second movie and you didn't have any like you had a lot of references, but you didn't have like a lot of visual references, you may have been like, okay, they don't really necessarily feel like the same characters. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You like to pick actors that can do that well, that can sell it, but I also feel like, they need to definitely have the flashbacks that connect it better, for sure.
It'll
which
help.
It seems like that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that'll be the bridge that
definitely.
they need to build.
But yeah, I can't think of anything else to really touch up on at all. I know we were thinking about maybe talking about who we might pick to play the adult actors. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like I can't think of anything. I know I was reading another article that was talking about. They were thinking. I didn't read the full article, so I didn't know who exactly they were specifically picking for each character. But I saw like big names like Jake Gyllenhaal, Chris Pratt, Amy Adams, stuff like that, and I don't know how I feel about
I
that.
could see Chris Pratt being Ben, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, I actually think
For
that's
sure.
what they said. I think big name actors don't need to be
That's
in the
true.
movie. That could take away from it, actually.
very true.
Because you're like, oh, I know who that is. That's Chris Pratt. That's not
Yeah.
Ben. That's Chris Pratt. I feel like that could take away from the movie a little bit. Although it would be kind of nice to have some familiar faces in there too. Because they don't need to all just be actors that are no names for the sake of that.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe like one big name actor in there would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Maybe it's Bill or something.
Because I mean, he's not really a big name, but the kid who played Richie was in Stranger Things, and everybody knows him from that. So
That's
he's not really a big name actor, but I mean, he's in that, and so they
Yeah.
picked him. And I haven't seen any of the other kids in anything. I don't think.
I
So
don't believe so.
or the adults or anybody. So I feel like that he was kind of that one. So they could definitely take like one. I think they also said Bill Hader as Richie.
Bill Hader is Richie.
Bill Hader as Richie.
Maybe.
I mean, I could see it because I mean he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he quite fits Richie. But
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Maybe.
really think. I don't know how that would work. But anyway, I think that's pretty much sums it up. I
Yeah.
think I would, like we said before, I'd give it a solid 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
not much movies I can review off the top of my head deserve a 10.
Mm.
And the reason I also give it a 9.5 mainly because we get so many awful horror movies all the time.
Yeah.
So bad.
So
then
many.
you have to look to indie movies to actually get some decent ones.
Yeah.
I think this finally we got a big budget rated R It movie that was actually it was a great movie. Like overall, it was.
sure.
I thought it was fantastic. I think I think the second one's gonna be. I'm hoping it's good. Same director and same writers.
Oh yeah.
So
I have faith.
yeah, I'm hoping that it's just as good. But anyway, you still got your 9 for 9 out of 10.
Yeah. As
Us
far
talking about
if
it,
we're still a 9, if we're gonna be like, oh, but versus the book, that would definitely keep it at 9. Maybe down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because there was just some things
That could have definitely been in there.
yeah,
That-
because like small things such as beep beep Richie.
Right. Which
All
he
the
did.
kids said that to
Pennywise
Richie
said
all
that,
the time.
but I feel like when he did say it, when he hopped on the coffin and said "Beep Your,"
Yeah,
I think
that-
which he
that
landed like
worked.
Spider-Man. That was hilarious. Anyway, I think that when he said that, I feel like that was for us book readers, but
Yeah.
I just wish they would have said it in the movie because it would have made more
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and plus, I feel like it kind of becomes a nice callback thing when they're adults and they're
Exactly.
still saying it to
And they're
him.
still saying it,
so,
yeah.
if the next movie comes out and they're saying it to him, it's like,
It won't
they
make-
never said that
Yeah,
to
they
him as
never
a
said that,
kid,
so
so why are they
why
saying it
would-
now?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think
and then Richie called Ben Haystack all the time. You never call him Haystack in the movie.
yeah, and I don't even think they said anything regarding to Haystack at all, did
Yeah,
they?
call him Haystack all the time in
Yeah,
the book.
that was just his name.
Constantly,
And
even
then
when they're
he called
adults.
Eddie Ed, and he hated that.
Yeah,
in the
that
book
as well.
too. Those are little things. I feel like big things. The bird sequence with Mike,
Bird sequence or
such a great scene. The mummy sequence with Ben, such a great scene. Like Patrick, great moments. They didn't need to be in the movie, but great moments. I think those also didn't need to be in the movie either. But I feel like if you wanted to, I honestly feel like the only way we would get the 100% most perfect like It adaptation would be through like almost like a Netflix TV show.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be like the
Netflix
like.
or HBO or something.
But that being said, I do love the movie though. I think it's actually finally we get a great horror movie that
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of adds that kind of fall vibe, being that
Yeah.
it's in summer, but
One of the things that like wasn't the biggest deal at all, but I do really wish was in it was the slingshot.
yeah. And then the whole side stories with the them building the clubhouse underground and the dam for the creek,
Oh, yeah.
and then also I don't know. I kind of always like the movie theater scene when they go to the movie theater and then
and
Henry
have
and all of
the
them are in there
interaction
and
with Henry,
chase them
yeah.
and stuff. I always thought that was kind of a cool scene in the book.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a cool scene. Didn't
Yeah.
again stuff that doesn't really need
Yeah.
the movie. I don't think would have really benefited from them. It's just things I would have liked on screen.
So as far as like the end of the movie, that one line that I was talking about with the non-spoiler, Pennywise very last line where he's in the, what was that, pipe?
It was a pipe
Of some sort, but
leading into a deeper part of the sewer. I
the
guess.
little abyss that he fell into.
Yeah.
His last line being fear, and then
Yeah.
just going away. I felt like they focused on saying things about fear a little too much.
Rather than it letting just be a thing that happens.
Yeah, because the book, yes, it says stuff about fear at some points, but it really doesn't actually just say, oh, it's because of fear, blah, blah, blah. It paints the picture and you see it and you know it.
Yeah, well, I think in the movie though, for the fear thing, a lot of people who haven't read the book too might be like, so
I could...
if they hinted at it, people might not even pick up on
Oh,
it.
yeah, I could see why they would talk about fear more in the movie. Like, I understood it while I was watching the movie, and it was just that very last line being fear. I feel like that was just overdoing it. I feel like they did what they needed to do as far as saying fear so much, and so that line was already reached. That was already accomplished. But then him saying fear again,
Yeah.
it just felt weird. It was like,
Unless he's foreshadowing, which
potentially.
we kind of briefly talked about that, but I feel like, maybe he could just be foreshadowing like fear, like later on. And then when she woke up, she was like, it was when they were outside sitting on the ground, just after they left the sewer. She said that she was, she saw them as adults and they were back there, but they were scared. She's like, I don't think I can forget that feeling. Yeah. So definitely, I think he may have just been foreshadowing what's going to happen later.
Could have been.
But I do feel I think maybe just a little bit more of an elaborate sentence.
Yeah, if he
rather than
actually
just one word.
Yeah, if he had an
you
actual
will fear
sentence
me or something, like I don't know, something.
If he just said that, then that would have been something.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Just kind of anything, honestly.
Yeah.
Just, he could have said fear, just more.
Yeah. And I think, the way the movie kind of wraps up too, I think it's a little bit different from the book, but I'm fine with it. It fits. But like I said before, I felt that the characters I wasn't as emotionally into the characters because, I don't know, they were, like, I loved them as characters. I just didn't feel like emotionally connected with them. So when they do the effect of them disappearing at the end when they're walking away, it's supposed to be like, oh, they might never see each other again, that kind of thing. Everybody's splitting up. I didn't really feel that way. I was just kind of like,
I mean, I didn't even really necessarily feel like I was supposed to feel that way. So
I felt like, because they kind of did the same effect at the end of Stand By Me, so that could just be what that is.
Okay,
I don't know.
Good.
So I think,
because at that point, aside from Beverly moving away and whatnot, all of the kids there are still gonna have interactions with each other.
yeah, I suppose.
It was just later on when they separated
Split up,
throughout
yeah.
life.
I guess it's just after this kind of little mini journey they went on is they're now, the summer's over and they're walking away now, and so it's kind of just like, well, that's done,
Yeah.
I think that was kind of part of it. You were supposed to feel kind of emotional in that, like,
That's true.
like you went on it with them, just like a lot of movies, like, the Goonies, stuff like that. I think that's what I meant when I said I wasn't like as emotionally connected, but I loved them as characters. I think
Oh yeah.
can't say it enough. The movie was fantastic.
Yeah. Great movie, great acting, just it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was great.
The probably my favorite, absolute favorite, was just anytime Pennywise talked. I was just so into it throughout the movie, aside from when he was like fear.
Yeah.
But just throughout the movie, all of his dialogue was just
Great.
so rich.
Right.
Everyone's dialogue
Little
in the
things
movie
like when
was
he's
rich.
Yeah, little things when he's going up to Eddie when he's on the ground and he's like, he's trying to breathe, and then Pennywise is like making fun of him, like gasping, like that. I don't know. That's how he was in the book, so I love that. I love those little touches.
It was great.
Definitely great. Definitely good.
All right, so overall, Book better than the movie? Probably just because it's a long ass book. So it has so much more room to talk about different subjects and whatnot because of how long it is, where versus a 2-hour movie is just 2 hours. However, the movie is one of the best adaptations of a book that I have seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think if me personally I had to choose, I'd probably say that the book is probably better than the movie, mainly because it's able to actually dive into certain things more. But I do absolutely love the movie. If you guys have seen the movie, let us know down in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like our review of the movie?
Let us know. Join us in the conversation. Let's get this talking about.
See you guys on the next one.
This talking about.
Keep that in there, and then just right when he sat down, just punch zoom on his face.
I think that's perfect. He'll punch it and be like, first movie review.
That's actually a pretty good idea. I think that.
That was like, it was like spot on.
We were so perfect, and I feel like we need to keep that, and then just be like,
Just spaghetti.
I think that spaghetti was
It's like comedic relief.
yeah.